Because the thing on Amazon, once you have a winning main image, the whole search, like the whole competitors, they're gonna copy your style. Entire search page is gonna look exactly the same.
What is a good quote unquote like above average CTR? Like in terms of like all the products you work with. I know it might be different in categories, but like just on average.
You're looking at about 0.75.
Hi everyone, welcome. Today our guest is Kamaljit Singh. He is the CEO and founder of Amazon One Step. Basically what they do is increase your Amazon sales by up to 60% without spending any more money on ads. And how they do that is actually optimizing and improving the existing images on your listing. So yeah, Kamal started selling on Amazon in 2015 with retail arbitrage and eventually built a private label. So he has skinned the game. And he's super passionate about conversion optimization and branding on Amazon, which you're going to learn in this video of how you can make more sales, increase traffic by just doing a small, simple tweak as he advises here. And lastly, we do get into AI and how you can use that to your advantage. So without further ado, let's get into it. So Kamal, thank you for hopping in this call here. And, the goal today is to kind of help sellers how to make more money with their Amazon business with better images that actually convert, you know what I mean? And most importantly, how they can utilize AI now to their advantage. So, yeah, I kind of want to start with, I guess, in the simple matters of like how important are listing images for sellers that want to make more money? Like, what part of the overall conversion does it like contribute?
Absolutely. First of all, thanks for having me. Super excited to talk about Amazon, uh, CTR, CDR. It's one of the things that I'm super passionate about, and especially it's such a great time to be doing this because now the image generation, the AI and the image generation has the most improvement. With the new image generation models coming out every single month at least, right? So now sellers, they can do their they can scale their creative testing without any bottlenecks, and it cost sellers like literally 100 times lesser than they used to pay before. So it now, even whether you're doing a wholesale or private label, it does not really matter. If you do find the opportunity to optimize your creatives, I think you should be doing that. So coming back to your question, why is that important? Because if somebody is you know the reason why it's super important, because it's at the bottom of the funnel, which are people which are ready to buy. They're just searching for the exact product. They're searching for that keyword, they're searching for that product, and your goal is to win the click. It's just like YouTube thumbnail. If you have a weird thumbnail, people would click, and then they're searching for it. And YouTube's algorithm is also like recommending that, hey, watch this video. It's very similar with the Amazon. So Amazon is like recommending a product either in the in the search results or in the suggested products. So your main image, now it's your job to make sure your main image looks good so that people click on your listing. And once they have clicked on your listing, they move even more bottom of the funnel, which means they're super interested now. Your secondary images, your A plus content, your videos, they have to do the heavy lifting. And Amazon is one of the most distracted marketplaces because there's so many sponsored ads. There's like so many competitors. There's so many products, and people bounce off pretty quickly. If you don't have an engaging images or an engaging listing, they're just going to bounce off and buy somebody else's product, which caught their attention, and which holded the visitor and converted them to to add to cart. So it's super important because it's at the bottom of the funnel. So you cannot really make any mistakes when you're paying for clicks, and then there are people actually looking for your product, and you cannot really miss out on on the images.
Yeah, no, that's a super good point. Like if you're paying for advertisement, you want to make sure like everything's dialed in, or else you're just gonna be keep spending money, and you're like, why am I not getting sales, or why am I just breaking even? So that's a really good point. And yeah, in terms of Amazon, it's changing just like with everything, just with live and stuff, and so you kind of have to adapt with it, right? Do you mind just kind of walking us through like the baseline, because you've been doing this a while now, you're the expert here. What it was before, like what is like Amazon allows, like what they don't allow versus to like what is it now? Are they more stricter? They're more flexible? How can someone get away with AI versus like real stuff?
Yeah. So what I've learned over the years that Amazon is like very consumer centric company, and they would become strict or they would become flexible depending on if this helps the users or if this does not help the user. For example, what Amazon started with, back in 20, you know, 2014, you could literally have anything on your images, and then Amazon would just accept it, right? Then Amazon came up with some rules like, hey, on your main image, on the first product image, it can only be on the white background, so that you cannot deceive people to win a click. So Amazon made those policies, like, hey, you know what, everybody, white background, first product picture. So that was like the initial change, right? So over time, over the years, over the sellers found different ways, like, found different loopholes, like what kind of images does Amazon allow and what kind of images Amazon would not allow, right? So now, like, moving forward to 2026, Amazon has main image rules very specific towards the categories. Some categories, they are very, very strict. For example, if it's a supplements category or if it's a baby products category, they would be very strict. But when it comes to, for example, let's say string lights, right? So you can even have lifestyle images as your main image. When it comes to furniture products, you can even have lifestyle images. If your image is better doing 3D rendered, Amazon would have no problem with it, even though Amazon's terms of service say that your main image should only be the product picture. It cannot be an illustration or a drawing, but Amazon still allows 3D rendered images. Why? Because it helps users make better decision. The overall experience of the users is a lot better. That was so short answer is, you have to take a look at your category, what other sellers are doing, and you can do the exact same thing. If they're doing hang tags, do that. If they're doing lifestyle images, you can also do that. If they're doing um, white background images, you can do that. One thing I like to say is, you should create at least three different main images. One is more on the risky side, one on, like, somewhere in the middle, and the one is like perfectly safe, perfectly Amazon compliant, so that if Amazon does not accept your risky image, then it can always fall back to the safer main image. So you still have, as one backup option. So that's with the main images. With the secondary images, the gallery images, the rules are pretty same for everybody, same for every category. And for example, you cannot really make claims, you cannot really show nudity and stuff like that. So those are, like, more generic rules. But Amazon's rules change when it comes to the main images. So yeah, a lot has changed. Sellers have found different loopholes, but as long as it serves the consumer, you should be fine.
Okay. And yeah, we can dig into that a little bit, because yeah, with Amazon sellers finding the loophole, we want to always be ahead of things, right? Because it's always changing. It's like if Amazon does something, it's like, all right, how can we put ourselves into like an adventure? It's like a cat and mouse game every time. And you know, I like that you had mentioned there's like three different ways that you should be prepared. It's like I started kind of doing this in terms of the YouTube, as you brought up the thumbnail example. Like YouTube now allows three thumbnails that you can test, right? Like ABC testing. Plus, you can do with the title as well because it's the first thing that someone noticed. They might not read the title, but they might look at the thumbnail. I'm like, okay, that looks interesting. Or they might read, the thumbnail instead of the title. So you don't know which one exactly is going to work. You kind of just have to let the audience kind of decide.
That that is so true, and that's one of the things that we obsess with. Um, is split testing. We have like three different layers of like split testing. The layer number one is, for example, most Amazon sellers, they would create only one image and then they hope it to work. But that's not always the case. So you have to create multiple variations of your main image, and then you split test them externally using maybe tools like Product Pinion, and see which image is getting better public votes. People give you the feedback like, hey, I prefer variation A, and some say I prefer variation B. Depending on if you won with a significant margin, now the winner goes to the manage your experiment within the Seller Central, which is Amazon's internal A/B testing tool. That's where you can do additional split testing with your new image and with your old image, and see which image wins. If it wins, good. If it doesn't win, learn from it, make changes, and keep doing it. It's not a one-time task; it's a ritual. Because the best part about the CTR, let's say if your CTR is like 0.5, even if you could, and so much easier to double the CTR as compared to
What
doubling.
is a good quote unquote like above average CTR? Like in terms of like all the products you work with. I know it might be different in categories, but like just on average.
You're looking at about 0.75
Okay.
is a decent CTR. But I would go to search query performance. I would take a look at what is the market CTR average and what is your CTR on average. If it's
Uh,
lower than the market, that means you know the delta, like how much you need to improve, and you keep doing that until until you get to the market average CTR. So what I'm saying is, like, you keep have you have to keep testing, even like a small change. Like if you go from like zero point 0.5 to zero point 0.9, that's like an 80% increase in traffic.
wow.
And just by changing the main image, which also means if your conversion rate remains the same, you're going to make like 80% more sales. So these are like very tiny numbers that people don't really think they're that important, but they're really important when it comes to, for example, we made an improvement, uh, an image, I put it on LinkedIn, and then the post went viral. People were like, hey man, like, I was like, hey, the sales went, you know, this much just by changing the main image. And when they saw, I put, I always share some screenshots, and they're like, hey, it's only like 0.06 improvement. I'm like, no, it's 15% improvement. If you look that it went from 0.41 to 0.47, it's only like 0.06. But when you look at the grand scheme of things, it can move the needle like significantly. So that was only from one experiment. What if you keep split testing your main image, keep getting better and better? So I, there's a true potential for your sales to get doubled or triple just by doing the CTR optimization.
Wow, that's exciting. It's like, yeah, the details are in the devil, so you really have to you can't just ignore it, even it might not look significant at that moment and stuff. And I know you had talked about like the Kaizen strategy. So, kind of just want to break it down maybe for us and maybe if you have an example of a successful images that has been working with conversions, and yeah, we'd be more than happy to kind of learn more about it and see what we exactly put it into photo here.
Sounds good. Yeah, that's one of the strategies that I really like to show sellers, like why they should continuously be improving their main
Yeah.
images. For example,
That's what Kaizen stands for, right? It's like a Japanese term.
exactly, they're like your continuous improvement is what Kaizen means in Japanese. So, for example, take a look at this image. So it's it's a high quality shot, professional photography, but can this be improved? In the Kaizen strategy, you always have to ask this question to yourself: can this be improved? And the answer is always yes. So take a look at it right now. So it is now 3D rendered, slightly sharper angles, looks a lot better. Same image, but can this be improved? You ask this question again, and the answer is yes. Now, take a look at this image. So now you have added a wallpaper, which is going to stand out from all of those competitors. So when you ask yourself the same question again, can this image be improved? The answer is yes. So now you have added a label it strategy. So label it strategy basically means you can add your product keyword or your unique selling proposition, make it naturally embedded on the product. So it helps you optimize for rufus, it helps you optimize for click-through rate. But can this image be improved? The answer is yes. So you keep improving your image, variation after variation, variation after variation. Because the thing on Amazon, once you have a winning main image, the whole SERP, like the whole competitors, they're going to copy your style. you know
Mm.
Entire SERP page is going to look exactly the same. So that's why if you want to stay number one, then then this strategy is for you. You always have to keep improving. How your main image could be super helpful.
But it's little by little progress. It's not just like you made that leap into turning into the Hulk immediately. You know what I mean? It's like little by little, and yeah, I think there's a good time to kind of dive into like how does AI play into this. Let's say everyone has the same access, same you know, uh, prompts they can do. Like, how can someone stand out? I'm sure you get this question all the time.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this or not. Like, I have built a SaaS program, SaaS platform where sellers can generate high quality images, like in
Oh,
like,
sweet. Yeah.
right?
What is it
So
called?
it's called listingoptimization.ai. We launched like 3 months ago, and we have touched like 6,000 users already, which is
Wow.
growing pretty fast. So the reason, the number one question I get all the time, like, hey, Kamal, if everybody's using the same tool,
Yeah.
who will win, right? It,
They were just counting up each one.
exactly right. So that's where your experience, your expertise, it comes into the place, because the decisions, you still need to make the decisions. What I like to do, how my process is, I don't assume anything. I have seen ugly images outperform
Sure.
commercial level photography and commercial level ads. I've seen that, especially with the UGC, like user generated. You spend maybe $100,000 on a video ad, and an ugly looking UGC video can
From
out
iPhone.
from the iPhone can outperform that. So I don't assume anything. Say to sellers as well. Sellers have some bias towards their product. Agencies have biased towards their design and their process, and the sellers, I mean the buyers who are going to buy, they don't have any bias, they have their priorities. So if you assume, you're going to lose. So what I like to say, the AI is here. AI can only help you in the speed and scale. It does not remove anything else. So you have to stick to the process. So now what does this mean? So now, which means you can create images a lot faster, right? And you can create images, you know, at scale. So it's faster and more now. So what does this mean? This means you can split test a lot more. So what I like to say, the process still remains the same. Before, you were generating 3 main image variations in 2 weeks. Now you generate 30 main image variations in 2 minutes, but the process still remains the same. You have to do the split testing, collect the feedback, see which one wins, and then go to manage your experiment, do the seller central. So the process wins, but AI is only helping you with the scale and speed.
Yeah, because where I was going with it, probably like a lot of people, is like AI will solve everything. It's like once they have that, it's like set it and forget it. But it's just like a tool. Like as you mentioned, like it just enhances it, like the speed and stuff like that. So process is still like follow through. Like what's been working, follow through.
Yeah, exactly right. Right. So now it just makes the testing process like a lot smoother, because the optimization, which was taking 6 months to achieve those results, will now take like 30 days.
Got it.
uh,
Okay.
with AI. But it's not going to replace the overall decision making process. For example, if I look at an image, I can tell like, hey, I think this is going to win, right? Versus someone else who doesn't have that much of creative experience, they're going to have to go through lots of like creative process and split testing process to get to that desired conversion rate. So yeah, it's not replacing the process as of yet. Yeah. So the yeah, do that, and everything else, would just everything
Yeah.
else would fall in place.
Yeah, it makes sense. And how strict is Amazon in terms of like using AI? Are they able to tell which ones are AI or not? Like what is allowed, what is not? Like, has anything updated as we speak?
Yeah, there's a funny story. When AI came out last year, like, and AI has been there like super long, but the really good image generation model came out March 2025. The GPT image one point, GPT image one model that was really really good. When I first saw that image, I sent an email to Jeff Bezos. I was like, man, this is not this is going to kill my agency, because I was like, wow, like we charge thousands of dollars for this, and the AIs can do this right now. I was like super scared. I was like, man, like I think our industry is going to be disrupted. I didn't know what to do. I sent an email to Jeff Bezos, like, hey, you know what? There's going to be big misuse of AI because the products, they look different in real life, and in AI it's different, and people are generating like baby images. People are generating, you know, I think you should have an AI label, like if you detect this is an AI image, at least you should tell the users like this is an AI image. So they did reply to me, their team. They're like, yeah, this is a great idea. We'll consider that. But so far there hasn't been any updates, or Amazon is like accepting them like a regular image. So end of the day, like what Amazon wants to do, they want to make more money. So
Yeah.
Amazon still has 90% or more unoptimized listings. There's like still hundreds of thousands of listings that only got one single image. So what Amazon wants, like, hey, what if sellers use AI and optimize those listings, so those sellers are going to make more money, which means Amazon is going to make more money. So Amazon is investing in their own AI tools, even though their guidelines say it should be the product picture only. But still, they still like, hey, use this AI tool to generate those images. Use this AI tool to, they have little creative studio within the Amazon ads console. So Amazon is like, super prone. I mean, so Amazon is like, yeah, they're rooting for AI. So I haven't seen any problems. Uh, I think everybody seems to be accepting it perfectly fine. But I think there will be a saturation point when, people will start looking for authenticity. But right now everybody's excited, but the saturation point would come pretty soon.
Okay. Yeah. No, I can see that. It's like they open up a little bit. Once they see it's going too far, then they kind of like dial back and adjust. Just like with Amazon, I feel like that's how they work. And how about like in the marketplace itself? Like how do consumers feel? I know you kind of mentioned about like authenticity and like reality versus like expectation, right? Like how's that been so far?
Yes, so far we have seen increase in the conversions because all those new launches and they all those like bad listings, their baseline is pretty bad, and they're just optimizing their bad baseline images. So far we're seeing an improvement, but the sellers who's got like decent conversion rate, sellers who's got like tens of thousands of reviews, and they have like s- invested money in the good images already, they are a little bit skeptical, and they are they're not willing to you know take the risk like right away. So they're slowly looking at what their low performers are doing, and then they would move it to the high performers. But as when it comes to the consumers, yeah, we have seen high conversion rates.
Oh wow.
With um, but yeah, at the same time, uh, I think it does help if you use it smartly. It does help you, reduce the returns. It helps you reduce the refunds and everything, because the only way you can use AI wrong, if you're just uploading the AI crap, like whatever AI gives you, you just upload that. You still need to spend 15-20 minutes at least going back and forth making sure it's like Amazon retail ready image. Like if your product is like half, it's looking different, or you
Like
know
with no effort. Like yeah.
yeah, I mean those kind of listings would still hurt you, but those kind of sellers, they're also not like serious sellers, so it wouldn't really matter too much. So consumer side, I think they're also very busy in their life, and there's no significant data. In fact, the experiments that we have done, it's like very 50-50. you know
Okay.
uh, People, yeah, we did recently a test where we created those. There's a client who worked with us last year. They paid us like $4,000 for a listing, and he's like, "Hey, I want to refresh my images once again." I was like, "Hey, why don't we use AI this time?" And then we used the AI, and we split tested their, you know, retail images, like the old images and the new images with AI, and results were 50-50. And we have seen like both ways. We're like, hey, somebody who recently launched an AI product with AI images, and then they did not see really good results, and we changed it with the human. images, like the real images, and we did not see big of a difference. So the users, they're still kind of, it's very hard for them to tell the difference for majority of the people, but no significant evidence of
Okay.
what. Yeah.
And in terms of like, I know you did the tests, right? Like the with the result and stuff. Did you specifically just change like the image or some of the content as well? Like, I guess what would be like a proper process when someone wants to do like a test? You know, like to because at the end of the day, you want to like minimize the variables. You know what I mean?
That's a really good question. So I always break it down to three different test processes. First is the main image. For the main images, you always look for which image is breaking the pattern from the search results. It does not really have to be which one is good looking, which one do you like. Whichever breaks the pattern, that is the image that I'm going with. That
So
is
it could be like they scroll and they see all of a sudden like a neon green color. Could be that.
exactly. Or somebody, like, you see a supplement bottles, but one image you see a bottle somebody holding in the hand, and it's only a hand and the product. So that is a scroll stopper. Or maybe you see a product packaging all of a sudden. So that's like pattern breaking is one framework for the main image testing. For the secondary images testing, there's like multiple frameworks. One thing you can do is test the different sequence of the main images, which does not even cost you any money. For example, move your fifth image to the second position, move your second image to the fifth position, and see which, if the sequence even helps. That is one way to minimize the variables. The second framework is the copy. You keep everything else the same, but you change the copy in every single image. That's like the second framework without spending too much money. The third framework is you remove all, like, maybe lifestyle images and go infographics only, or you can go infographics and lifestyle mix. And then the next framework is called, I like to do with the visual references. So you give a lot of visual references in the images. For example, let's say you're selling a delivery bag, right?
Mhm.
And your target audience is like DoorDash drivers or Uber Eats drivers. So you have two different options. Either you can show, and your feature is extra large, and you want to, how can you show the extra large feature for a delivery bag in two different ways? Option number one, you show the dimensions. In case 24 inches tall or 12 inches wide, whatever. But the option number two, you actually show how many extra large pizzas it can carry, how many extra bottles of pops it can carry. So the the target audience can instantly think, okay, this is
That's me.
this
I would think like that.
that's so that's like another framework. So there's lots of frameworks for secondary images to test your images. I can go like
Yeah.
on like every single framework, but it never ends. The truth is it never ends. You always have to come up with a new hypothesis and see if that works. The goal is it converting better than the market, or is it getting converting lesser than the market? Once you're like above the market, you you can spend money on ads like crazy. Like Alex Hermosi says, like, nail it before you scale it, right?
Yeah,
So
the offer is invalidated.
exactly right. So once you know that if you spend money on ads, it's going to convert better than the market. You're going to win the market. You're going to have the biggest market share. So you keep spending that money. So when you scale, the numbers break. And then what does that mean? That means you need to do the creative process once again. So that's how I think about split testing.
No, yeah, that's thank you for that. I mean, it's a lot of value that someone can just like do over there and make make some sales immediately. And yeah, so thank you for sharing that strategy bits there. And so let's say like a seller, they kind of want to like try this themselves. Like, how easy is it for them to create this AI images? And are there like free softwares, or is it better to go with like a paid software, like maybe like the one you had created, for example?
With AI, there's no free softwares. They can give you free trials, but AI is like super expensive. Every single thing, like it's it's new SaaS which are not profitable. Like if you generate a normal SaaS, it's they there's no cost of delivering. But with AI, there's a lot of like API cost, a lot of server cost. So but there are like free trials out there. So for example, you can try Nano Banana, like which is Google's Gemini. You can use Chat GPT's GPT 1.5 image model, or you can use tools like listingoptimization.ai, which has all those models built into it, right? And then you can try it for free. So it's super easy for you to create maybe hundreds of main image variations in like 2 minutes. That's literally possible. I do that all the time. I put
Wow.
content on YouTube. You can create A plus content in like 5 minutes. You can create secondary images like in 10 minutes. So, um, so that's what you can do with AI right now. Like, is it perfect? No. Like, if it's perfect, go ahead and upload it. If it's not perfect, spend extra time, work with AI, and make those changes. If it's like super complicated product with multiple items in the single ASIN, get the concept right, then hire a designer to fix those for you. Because what with the third option, what sellers do, they try an AI, they have a complicated product, and then they give up. They're like, oh, this is not for me. This AI is it's all BS. But what they don't realize, it got you 85% there already. I know it's not perfect. Now you can hire a designer to fix those problems for you. Now it's still a lot faster and cheaper for sellers. So these are the three ways to use any image generation model or listing optimization AI, to generate those images.
Okay. And what's the downside? Not
The,
everything is like rainbows and butterflies. What's the what's the catch, I guess?
the first catch would be now you're doing it yourself,
Okay.
right? So there's no expert. Let's say if you work with an agency, like someone like us, we have like a decade long experience, right? We only create pictures which we know will convert. Now you're figuring it out. So now you have to do 1 year of split testing to figure it out, when somebody else out there who knows with like two tests, they can be like, hey, there you go, you're converting better than the market. So that is the number one challenge. When you do it yourself, you may save some money in the beginning, but there's a long term cost to it. The second catch would be that I don't think there's any catch. I think yeah, it just the second thing I've seen is like there's a lot of like company, uh, when there's like a CEO at the top, when in the company is at medium to large scale, in
Mhm.
CEO is not going to test out the tools, right? So they tell their creative director like, hey, go test out these image generations, models and tools, and report it back to me. So they never get the right feedback. They're like, oh, I tried it out, but it wasn't perfect, because the medium management, they're also worried about their jobs and everything. So these are the only two few things I've seen. But overall, like there's no really catch using AI.
Okay. Yeah, the second example you did is it's more like it sounds like a disconnect. Like they don't have like skin in the game, so they're only relying on based on someone's communication or experience with it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And yeah, so to kind of just like wrap this off here, like um let's say just in generalized, like a new seller, what is one thing that they could do after this, watching this, like an actionable step that could help them with their conversion, sales, etc. Like one thing that that could help them.
If you're an Amazon seller, if you're selling it already, this is what I want you to do. Go to your Seller Central, run an A B test, change the sequence of the images. You can use product opinion before that or not. Totally up to you. Change the sequence, run a split test. You will be surprised that sequence matters. Your sales will either go up or down. You will figure it out very soon. So it doesn't really cost you any money to generate new creative. Change the sequence, run a test. Then change the product title, run a test again. So you can there's many simple tests that you can do which do not cost you anything. And if worked correctly, if you know what you're doing, you're going to have like a significant improvement in your sales. And a lot of sellers, they don't do it. They keep doing, they keep fixing their ads, but they never touch their creatives. So it's a small change that you can do. Do it, just go ahead and test that after this podcast.
Yeah, no, that's super powerful. Yeah, it all comes back to detail. It's amazing that you have all this knowledge that you're just sharing here with us. So we really appreciate your time here, Kamal. And where can people find you? Let's say they want to work with you or just want to reach out to you in general.
Yeah, LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn. Kamaljit Singh. Just go search for my name, or you can go to amz1step.com. That's my agency. If you go to listingoptimization.ai, that's my SaaS. And goal for the both of the agency and software is to help you make more money with high converting images. So that's what I do. Been doing it for a super long time. Would love to connect on LinkedIn. Yeah, that's where you can find us.
Awesome. Thank you, Kamal.
Thank you so much, Lester. It was a great episode. It was fun.
Yeah, likewise. Hope we get to chat again. And thank you again.
Thank you.